Hello and welcome to episode 48 of my Working with Todoist series, and we are now doing the final episode of my mini-series GTD, or Getting Things Done, plus Todoist, using Todoist as a pure digital tool. Okay, so again, quick review, 5 steps to GTD. There are only 5 steps. Capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage. Today, we're going to be focused on the final one, the engage. So if you remember, going back through the previous 4 episodes, we've got number 1, capture everything. Number 2, clarify, what is it? Number 3, organize, where does it go? Number 4, as we did in the last episode, review everything. And today we are now moving on to the final part. Part 5, engage, just do it. Okay, so according to the Getting Things Done website, the 5 steps, simply do, this is engage, use your system to take appropriate actions with confidence. Now, the key here is with confidence, because if you have done the previous 4 steps, the capturing, the clarifying, the organizing, the reviewing, you will now know that your mind and your focus is on the most important things that you need to be doing. Now, this for me is actually quite simple. If you do the review part correctly, and if you make sure your labels, context, are all properly up to date, then this part, the simply doing part, should be very, very easy. Okay, before we go into Todoist, I just want to remind you about my book, Your Digital Life. This is not just on Todoist. There is a chapter on Todoist. There's also a chapter on Evernote. And there are many, many other chapters about how you can utilize the technology that you have available today in your hand, your iPhone, your smartphone, your Android phone, whatever phone you're using, as well as tablets, your laptops, and your desktops. And I'm sure most of you out there would find this book very, very useful to just take away the stress in your life and just to help let your technology do all the hard work for you. Anyway, I don't like advertising. I just wanted to let you know that there is a book out there that could help you. So let's get straight into Todoist and let me show you how you can utilize the power of getting things done to get your life organized and get your stuff done. Okay, I think the best way to demonstrate how to engage with your work or how to get your work done is to show you first of all, it's just to remind you that if you've done the review, if you've done all the previous steps, then imagine it's Monday morning, you're ready to go, and how is it the best way to do this? Now, let's take a look, go into the labels. Now, imagine that I've got an easy start on a Monday morning, and the work that I've got to do, I get into a coffee shop, I buy my cappuccino, my grande cappuccino from my Starbucks, and I sit down at the table. My coffee is there, and I look in my bag and I see I have with me my iPad. So I would click on my iPad. Now, traditionally, as I say, I've got dates in here, but let's just say that actually normally with GTD you wouldn't necessarily have dates in there, as I mentioned in the organize section, because we're using labels. The only work that I can do is work that I have with my iPad. Now, the truth is I also have my iPhone with me, so I can have a quick look in my iPhone and just have a look, see if there's anything there that I need to do. Now, the beauty of this is if you're using flags in Todoist, you can actually see what the really important things are. These are morning tasks, by the way, and these are afternoon tasks. This one's a very easy one for me, is add new word to the word of the day list. That just a quick reminder thing, oh yes, I need to add a word. I think of a word and I just boom straight in using drafts as I use on my phone. Confirm my afternoon classes, boom, that's no problem. I've got my iPhone in my hand and I can just go boom. But now, go back to the idea, I'm in the coffee shop, I've got my iPad, I'm listening to some music on my iPhone. So the first thing I would do is click on the label iPad and see continue writing business English creativity book, and it's a red label, so it must be done. So I get straight onto that, boom, 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 and I start writing. If suddenly I think after 30 minutes or after an hour, I'm thinking, okay, I've done enough, I can click it off, check, and I can move on to the next one, which is write Medium blog post, which is coming up tomorrow. And I would just sit down, look at the list that I have created in my notes app, and I would immediately go into writing that. Because I'm on my iPad, I have my iPad with me. Now, imagine that it's now 11 a.m. and I have a meeting with Dr. Min. So before I leave for the meeting, I would have a quick go down to my label, Dr. Min, and I would have a look and see what I need to discuss with him. So I've got here whether to publish a physical book or a PDF. So we need to discuss whether we're going to publish a physical book or a PDF, why I want to use frogs instead of dogs for the brainstorming idea, blah, blah, blah. So I go into the meeting, I've got this window open while I'm sat in the meeting, and I can check them off as and when we discuss them. Okay, so this is how pure GTD works. Now, let's say I finish the meeting and obviously I've added stuff. So we've gone boom, 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 boom. We've added stuff in here. So, but I can forget about because that's going to come up in my daily mini review. Now imagine that I have a meeting, I have 30 minutes before I go for a lunch meeting with my wife. So I've got 30 minutes. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I have my iPad with me, but email, I have a label. So I thought, okay, let's catch up with email. So I would look at my email list and I would just go, okay, top of the list, send out invoice, blah, 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 send, da, 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 da. And I would go through that particular list. Now, as I say, please remember, I'm not strictly speaking following pure GTD in my real life. So this isn't necessarily how pure GTD would be set up. For example, according to David Allen, we shouldn't really be using priorities. We should just look at the list for email and off we go. Okay, so again, imagine now I've finished, I've had my lunch and I'm on my way home. I get home and all I do is click on the label home and I have a look and say, oh, I need to clean the back of the TV and my desktop. Oh, and I've got a little extra time. It's not too difficult. I should start transferring my wife's photos and music to her hard drive. And so, boom, off I go. And now it's time for me to go and teach. So I look at my teaching list. Now I've actually got nothing in there, which is cool. So I do my teaching. And then when I finish that, I'm on the subway. Imagine I'm on the subway coming home. So I would look at my iPhone and I would go through and do off as many of these things as I can do. So this is basically how the word engage actually works with GTD. Whatever device or whoever you're with, that is what you're working on in that moment. And it's not working directly from projects. It's not working directly from your today view list. This is purely working from labels. Now, remember, when we go back to remember the episode on organizing, there are some tasks that you absolutely must do today. Now, for those, I would normally put, in a pure GTD fashion, you would put a date on those and make sure they come up in your calendar. Now, strictly speaking, you don't necessarily have to do that with Todoist, because if you're using Todoist as a pure GTD tool, then your today view would only have 3 or 4 tasks that must be done today. And this is the beauty of GTD. You're only looking at the lists of the things that you could actually physically do at that moment. So if I need to do some design work, I need either my laptop or I need my computer. And if I don't have access to my desktop and I don't have my laptop with me, there's no point in me even looking at that list because I cannot do that work. So imagine in this scenario, I only have my iPad with me and my iPhone. So I would look at my iPad and I would just get on with any of that work. Now, that's cool. I can just That's the only work I can do, so that's all I'm just going to focus on. There's no point in getting stressed about things I have no way of actually doing. And that is the beauty of GTD. It focuses your mind on the only things that you can do. And this is why labels are really important. Now, I know some people like using energy levels, which is fine if you're working in just one or two places. Energy levels is great. Use energy levels. Because I always say that your context or your labels are very, very personal. And they need to be for the things that you need to arrange your labels according to your working style and your lifestyle. It isn't about following somebody else's labels, because what my labels do for me are fantastic. They work. But what labels for other people wouldn't necessarily work. So finally, in this scenario, imagine I'm now having dinner with my wife. All I need to do is just open up, find Yo-Younggi's email address, which is something I've asked my wife to do, find a place to do a traditional Korean wedding in February next year. So there's nothing actually urgent, but it's something that we can discuss over dinner. Okay, so this is a little bit of a shorter episode, but I hope you get the idea of what doing actually means. Now, just one more thing. With Todoist, if you're working on a desktop computer or you're working from the website version of Todoist, and I have mentioned this in a previous episode, is you can actually get hold of the right-hand side here, and you can just drag it right across, and you can just have the lists that you need. You can change the lists by just going to that hamburger icon. So imagine, again, I'm on my iPad, which would be a bit silly because obviously if I had my iPad with me, I wouldn't need to do this. And now I have all the things that I need just in a nice list view. But I certainly would use this for my computer, or actually for Quarrel, which is my laptop, because I can then have that as a sidebar, and I can be working on my work. This is one of the nice things, I suppose, one of the nice UI aspects of Todoist. Can be really, really helpful. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get the latest versions. I hope this mini-series has been really useful to you. And for any of you guys who are really struggling with GTD, my only advice to you is keep it as simple as you possibly can. In these last 5 episodes, I've just gone through how to set up the pure GTD system. Remember, the variables are like labels because you need to think about the way you work and the way your life is organized. But pretty much everything else is standard. The review, very, very important. Capture everything, very important. And taking some time each day just to process your inbox and to just organize your things so you know what you need to do in the next few days. Weekly review, never, never skip it. You start skipping the weekly review and GTD will fall apart very, very quickly. Okay, so if there's any questions you have about GTD and working with Todoist, please leave a comment in the comment section below. And apart from that, I wish you all a very productive week, and I'll see you in episode 49.